Hanji, which literally translates into Korean paper, is a traditional Korean paper using time-honored techniques and natural materials. For today's Hallyu People segment, we meet a Hanji artist who has been introducing the beauty of Hanji to the world in Malaysia, the UAE, and currently in Australia, where she is based. She first encountered Hanji in Korea in 2000 and says it has changed her life. Let's listen to her story. We have Hanji crafts artist Jan Coveney joining us now. Hello, Ms. Coveney.
Hello, Ms. Coveney.
Hello, thank you for having me.
We're very pleased to have you on the show. So first and foremost, please tell us about your first encounter with Hanji.
Well, I first encountered Hanji when we moved to Korea in the year 2000. My husband was going over there to teach English at a university in Andong. And I became quite, I was a bit bored, I must say. I didn't know what to do. So a friend of mine, a Korean friend of mine, introduced me to Hanji, and she said, "Why don't you try this?" And I said, I had no clue what it was. So I thought, okay, I come from a very creative family, and I had tried many different crafts, but I'd never really found something that I really enjoyed. So eventually I tried doing Hanji, and it just pulled me in. I just loved the papers. The papers were stunning, and I loved experimenting with the designs and shapes and being able to make things that were useful, and I could do it at any time, and it just really relaxed me. And so I was really hooked from that time when I first started doing Hanji.
Right, wow, what boredom can do. Well, Ms. Coveney.
Exactly.
For our international viewers, though, what exactly is Hanji and how is it made?
Right, well, Hanji, as you said early on, is the Korean word for paper. But it's not only the making of the Hanji paper, but it's also using the Hanji paper to create different objects. Now, you can use the paper to make 2D pictures, or you can use it for 3D, or you can use it for weaving. There are many different ways you can use this beautiful paper. And I specialize or concentrate mainly on the 3D side of the papers, and I love doing the traditional work, making a structure and then putting it together, and then putting the lovely papers over the top with a nice cutout, etc. on top. So I love the fact that this Korean Hanji paper, handmade, is able to mold around objects really easily.
Yes, and I'm sure you've worked with other papers as well, but what differentiates Hanji from other papers, do you think?
Yeah, well, I was clueless when I first started doing Hanji. I thought paper was paper. And it wasn't until I started using it that I realized how they could be so different. For example, machine-made papers are very dense in their structure. And then the other handmade papers from different countries are beautiful, and I'm able to use them. But I find the Hanji one is the one that, because of the way it's made and the screening processes, I'm able to use it in a better way and able to mold it over the structures that I make. I will say that when Hanji arts first started, they didn't have anything like a cardboard, which I use. So they would layer 30 layers of paper to make something that was about 3 millimeters thick. And that would then be used to mold into a particular shape and then made into objects. And some of the objects in museums these days are over 100 years old.
Yes, and you're actually in Korea for 3 years learning Hanji. Can you tell us anything that might have stand out at that time?
Yes, well, I, I was fascinated by the number of papers that were available, and the different designs, they all work very differently. So, living in Korea, I was able to, first of all, have lots of lessons. And secondly, I was able to experiment with the papers that I could get there very easily. And that led me to start a passion, I guess, for using only Hanji paper or mainly Hanji paper. I do use others at times, but mainly the Hanji paper is the one that works best for this type of art.
And Ms. Coveney, were there any challenges that you faced when you worked with Hanji outside of Korea?
Oh, many. Yes, when I left Korea, my husband and I moved to Malaysia, and we were there 5 years. So I thought, well, okay, I'll just keep doing my Hanji. First of all, was getting supplies was quite difficult, and then secondly, it was well, particularly in Malaysia, it was very difficult. The finishes that I was using became very sticky because of the humidity. And so after a lot of attempts, I stopped doing it to any great extent, because I remember there was one piece that I made that was very, very intricate, and I had to just throw it away because the finishes weren't correct. So we moved then to the UAE for 7 years, and we learnt there. My husband taught there, and I did too. But that was a little easier because it was a drier climate, and I could get some of the materials, but not all. And particularly, I couldn't get the Hanji paper. So I ended up going back to Korea I go back about every 2 years to collect papers and store them here in my studio, so that when I teach Hanji, I've got a supply of papers that my students can use as well as myself.
And are there any projects you'd like to share right now that you're working on?
Well, as I said, I really do like the traditional styles of things, of Hanji work and arts and crafts. But lately I've been going more into the contemporary side of using the Hanji paper for lamps, etc. And I was in Korea in end of October, early November, and then I went over to Shanghai to an exhibition over there and a conference. And I was very fortunate that one of my Hanji pieces was chosen for one of the exhibitions at the conference. It was a big international paper conference. And so I've been working on more contemporary pieces, I would say, and I'd like to do a little bit more of that. I will tell you as well, because in your program you've been talking about different career series, and there was one that I watched and I really loved called The Rookie Historian. And from that, I've designed a piece of furniture using the colours that were in the historians' rooms, and it's got little boxes in it and drawers and bits and pieces. So I can draw influence from programs like that as well.
Oh, that's very interesting. And I understand you also look to very many traditional Korean patterns and paintings for inspiration. So is there any particular style you're especially drawn to these days?
Well, as I said, I still love the old paintings, and the Korean paintings. The style mainly from the Joseon dynasty, uh, because those pieces that are made or were made at that time are very interesting to me. But I love all that style, and what I've done in a lot of instances is actually take some of the very old paintings. I can show you a piece here,
Oh.
and I put it onto Hanji paper, I print it onto the Hanji paper in a certain way, and then I use it in different designs.
Beautiful.
So it's just a different way of using the Hanji paper and getting those beautiful pictures onto my items.
I love that.
It's amazing that you have been able to promote Hanji globally, but what are your hopes for the future with Hanji?
Oh, my hope is that more people will know how fabulous it is. I must admit, when I came back to Australia, I said to people, well, I do Hanji, and everybody looks at me and says, and what's that? And so I then explain it to them. So since I've been back, I've been keeping a social media presence. I've been keeping a website. I've been having exhibitions. I try to promote myself as much as possible. And at the moment, I'm writing a book on Hanji because there is nothing in English about Hanji. So there are a couple of books on Hanji, but that's more the other side, which is the making of the paper, and not so much about the arts and crafts. So I'm coming to Korea again in May, and I will be going specifically just as a research trip and visiting other Hanji artists and having a talk to them about the history of the Hanji arts and crafts and different topics that I will include in the book.
Ms. Coveney, is that book actually going to have, is it going to be made of Hanji, maybe the cover?
I haven't thought about that, but that is very much a possibility.
Okay, well, thank you very much for connecting with us today and telling your story, and especially for spreading the beauty of Korea's Hanji to the world. So maybe next time when you do come to Korea for preparing for your book or for preparing for your materials, maybe we could see you in person. Thank you very much today.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And thank you, Walter, as always. We're going to see you back here tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.